Hey kids, I just wanted to talk about the image on your screen right now. This, allegedly, is the pyrrhic victory for Joe Biden. If you actually believe there was a victory at all, this photo is what the Democrats have won. Allegedly. Allegedly, this was by how much Trump had won, yet somehow, allegedly, still lost. My point here is, if you believe this, and somehow choose to accept it out of sheer Trump derangement syndrome, please know that your side of this equation literally cannot afford any more such victories from the majority of this nation before things get really, really ugly. Now, just to be fundamentally clear, I'm not suggesting that the land votes. Not at all. The fact is that the people on that land do vote, and they represent an ideology. Imagine being a Democrat, and imagine being so against Donald Trump, and then having to look at this picture. Imagine realizing that this massive swathe of red represents everyone who disagrees with you on a fundamental level. The point is, if you can look at this map smugly, with confidence and the air of arrogance that could only be called elitist, you are at least as pathological as you could ever accuse Trump of being. To be perfectly honest, if I was on that quote-unquote winning side, I would be shitting myself. I would be having second thoughts about my convictions. And I would have in the back of my mind this gnawing apprehension of fear that perhaps I am on the verge of awakening a beast I am ill-equipped to fight. And we're not even going to address those who didn't vote in this election, because the voiceless get to stay voiceless. You literally chose to not matter. But this brings us to a question of, if this is the state of our democracy, allegedly, then there's something that perhaps needs to be done about it. And this is my solution. This is the one thing I could come up with that makes any sense. The Electoral College needs to be liberated. Perhaps districts and counties should not be beholden to their state's popular vote. Maybe the President of the United States should be elected by the plurality of districts rather than the whole states themselves. To be perfectly clear, I am not asking for the abolishment of the Electoral College. Quite contrary to that. I think the electors of the Electoral College should only be legally bound to vote based on the will of the districts they represent directly, not the entire state as a whole. Wouldn't that be more fair to the actual state of our nation and what we actually stand for and what we actually believe? Wouldn't that be more realistic in discerning which areas of the country believe what? Because saying that Texas is a purple state is a load of shit. And honestly, I would love for California to have a more louder voice and more of a participation in the presidential election, and those conservatives who live there not be left voiceless. And again, to be perfectly clear, the way to do that is not by popular vote. The Electoral College was a perfect solution to a very real problem. It was the problem of an ideal of local ideology overpowering an entire nation. And I thank God that the founders provided a way out of that. But perhaps they didn't go far enough. Maybe we need to liberate the Electoral College. Maybe we need to only hold these electors accountable for the actual votes of their direct districts, rather than the state as a whole. And those are my thoughts on this, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. And as always, stay carnal and God bless.